Hey everyone, I'm sitting here at the Brisbane airport and just been thinking about the state of things and a little update on my thoughts for what it's worth. I think for years now I've been saying we're going to see a crash of the US currency, and it seems to be pretty much the go-to for a lot of the people now to be speaking about that, and it's pretty acceptable. Same with Klaus Schwab. I wanted to ask you, have anyone seen anything of Klaus Schwab? He's disappeared. I remember probably 4 or 5 months ago, I'm guessing, I did a video saying that he'd be gone within 3 to 6 months. I just wonder if that's happened. I think he might have. I think he's got a bit of a mouth on him and it's been getting him into a bit of trouble. So I don't know whether he's stepped aside, he's taking a lesser role, but I see a lot of stuff come through for this site and I've not seen anything on Klaus Schwab, so I'm sure he's there somewhere. But if you've seen anything, let me know. I'd like to know whether that's almost been a prophecy fulfilled. I think this page of ours, this little group, I mean, I've got the two global freedom movements. One of the global freedom movements is on pause because they were threatening to shut the thing down and gave us all these restrictions. So we've shut it for a month until the restrictions lift. So hopefully we'll be able to stay alive, but maybe not. They may shut down that main group of, I think it's like 42,000 there. We've still got the Global Freedom Movement page. Global Freedom Movement number 2 is just starting to get a bit more traction. The 2 Free Scott, that's there. And the TikTok Global Freedom Movement 2 Free Scott, that hit like 60 something thousand, and then they restricted that. So every video I put on there, I'm lucky to get 50 little views on it, where I was getting thousands. I think one of the videos I put on there went to 2 or 5 million or something. I mean, it was, so they've really sat on that at TikTok. So, but that's okay, because I don't really feel our group exists to change the mainstream. I think my purpose is to be consistent, to be a consistent voice of what I see, what I sense, what I feel in God. A lot of what we've all done together here in building this group has brought a voice. It's found parts of the world and changed it. And that's all of you working together with me. And I'm thankful for that. Thank you. Thank you for your lives. Thank you for the fact that you share the videos, the feedback that you've all given. I virtually get very little negative trolls. It's kind of unfortunate. In some ways I enjoy that because it doesn't bother me. It's just like seeing a little kid throwing a tantrum trying to get attention, and you just kind of smile at him and go, oh. But it's been a terrific journey. I think our groups have influenced, I know they have influenced, we were the ones that I'm aware of that shared the Dutch farmers, that lady from Holland there that sent the video, and I had to research it trying to find what it was, couldn't find what it was, used Google Translate. I found something obscure about Dutch farmers on some Dutch website, used Google Translate, took a chance on it and shared out that it was that's what it was. And somebody that was in the group in Canada, Dominique, saw that and shared it out to the Canadian, his group, which had other bigger influences on it. And look what that farmers movement has done. And that's all of us. That's you, that's me. We did that together. Because whether or not we were responsible for it all, who knows? But we played a part. You played a part. And thanks for that. Thanks for that. Because we're not that mainstream voice, we're just everyday people sharing. We feel the same things, the same passions, the same fears. And that's, I've been doing these videos with Melissa, and to me, it's just everyday. I'm an everyday person. She's a everyday nice person. And we're just being real. We're not trying to fluff anything up. Nothing scripted. What you see is what you get. And so I just wanted to put this up, just talking a little bit of my heart in this, and to say we're not there to be another voice in the crowd. We don't when it come behind the wave, we are the wave. And I think this year we are going to see, like I've said, one world religion. They're going to push that. They have to push that. The whole economic and financial collapse, as that starts to unfold more, we'll see an upswing in the religious voices, and it won't be the spirit, because the religion it's like government. It is government. I mean, think about it. I come from a Christian perspective. I have Jesus in my heart and a relationship with him, but so that's my frame of reference. So if that's not you, that's fine. I'm not trying to push that on you, but I'm using it as my frame of reference. So when Jesus was here, he had a freedom of the spirit, really, and the religious system of the day, the government, and the religion and government are one. They're in bed together. They killed him and they persecuted him. And ultimately, they did us all a favour. And it's the same with when we see in the book of Acts, the apostles, that God was moving. And I don't know if you've read that, but there's a freedom movement in the Acts 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's really what it is. And religion wants to make it about manifestations. But now some of you have been in the freedom movement and you've seen the effects of the spirit of freedom. Go and have a read of that. And you'll see that, thousands of people came together. They counted all things as common. They were sharing meals together, going from house to house. People were selling their goods and giving it to anyone that had need. And then, of course, the Pharisees, the religious system that was tied in with the government, got these guys, locked them in prisons, beat them, stoned them. Stephen was killed, I think, in Acts chapter 7, who was a freedom lover. They got him, they brought him in front of the courts and stoned him and killed him. And Saul, in chapter 8, I think, comes on the scene, and he's persecuting, going from house to house, finding the freedom lovers and locking them up and beating them. And they, of course, Saul later turned into Paul, who wrote probably 2/3 of the New Testament. So, freedom's a powerful thing. And you just never know, because when somebody's spirit comes alive, you can't shut it off again. And I'm encouraged reading those bits in the Bible, because take all the religious bits out of it, and it's the same spirit that you and I are in freedom, in the freedom movement, and to see that in the Bible. And I haven't felt released to do it yet, but at some point here I'll talk about what I've seen, I believe, 20 years ago for San Francisco, Boston, New York. And I'll touch on it, but cities that are in a complete state of awakening. I'm seeing these religious meetings in Asbury and places like that in the US. And to me, I personally wouldn't cross the street for them. I think they're just desperate people that are scared doing things. I don't want to judge them. God's there. God can use anything. He doesn't need some church building. He's in all of us and moving in all of us. He's in all and through all. And I think that doesn't mean everything we do is godly. But I think we're talking about a move of God here. And anyone that was in the freedom camps, like New Zealand's Beehive, Australia's Epic, Hagerstown, and
good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is information for all passengers travelling on Link Airways flight FC9534 to Dubbo Orange. The boarding gate for this service has now changed.
Sorry, folks.
Your flight will now be boarding through gate
I don't know if
29.
That's gonna.
Thank you.
Okay, we're done, so we can talk. Or Canada at the truckers' convoy. The freedom that was there, it's the same as you read about in the book of Acts, except we've got the stigma of religion that's been put on that movement. You think about it now, people that are trying to put the stigma on the freedom movement, but it's the same with the Bible. People jammed on it what they could make a system of, what they could try to understand, but what was happening there was not understandable. Read it, Acts chapter 2, up to about Acts chapter 8 in the Bible, the New Testament. It's our freedom movement. It's been here before. It's been the whole city in an uproar. That's coming to New York. That's coming to Boston. That's coming to San Francisco, where people are just spontaneously, like here in Australia, the one that I was on the ground for, people started turning up. They just were drawn out of their homes from the other side of the country, jumped in cars, drove over here for no reason. They just felt they had to come. And when they got here, the love, all things were counted as common, like in the Bible. People shared things. People sold and gave to whoever had need. People shared meals. It was an incredible movement. And that same thing is going to happen in San Francisco. It's going to happen in Boston, and it's going to happen in New York City. And I hope to be over there in the US here in the next little while, and because I believe we carry change. We don't do change, we are change. And I think our groups and what we've done has brought change. We don't need anybody to know that, really, do we? And I'm talking to what I call here my freedom family. People of same spirit. You're my church. You're my church. Because you are life and you're free. Now, I'm sure there's people in here that are not, but usually they don't get too far into my videos because it's not like they're flashbang, not hanging my bum out or showing you my muscles. People don't have that entertainment factor to it. It's the spirit linking with the spirit. So I think it's an exciting future for the US. I do believe we're going to see the crash of the US currency, because I'm so adamant on that 20 years ago, and as I've mentioned in my book, The Vegetable Garden, Faith and a Corvette, I saw a vision of currency crash in the US, in Boston. And I believe they're going to try to jam the CBDCs onto the Americans, and they're not going to take it. And we're going to have 3 years of chaos where they're trying to jam it on everybody. And then I think what we're going to end up with is, at the end of that 3 years, major persecution is going to arise. Sorry, I have no control over the PA.
Brisbane Airport would like to thank you for your continued cooperation.
Sorry, the authoritative state and their announcements. But I think, we'll have that 3 years of turmoil, like we're seeing in France, riots, chaos, as people are pushing back on it. Ultimately, they will come up with the CBDC and bring it in, and they may have something else that they put parallel to it to soften it, but they will ultimately bring in, I believe, after that 3 years we will see of that initial collapse. It'll be 3 years until we see major persecution arise. Sorry, folks, I can't help the
aircraft you're travelling on today has carry-on baggage restrictions.
Announcements.
Carry-on
I'll
time
show you.
is 1 piece at 7 kilos per passenger. If you're in excess of this limit, please approach the staff at gate 29.
In Brisbane and flying to Canberra today in Australia. So I think it's an important time. I'm readjusting the group. We can continually do. I'll still share the content, but the focus is we're going to see, because we are the ones that make the waves. And when we speak it and we prophesy it, so to speak, it brings it into being, I believe. And as we do that, and then others like yourselves and like spirit unite behind it, it brings about freedom and change and release. And we are all about that. So let's just see where the flow goes, and we'll flow with it together, and we'll see what the future holds. But we're starting to see stuff that we've been saying since the beginning of these groups and before, starting to unfold in front of our eyes. So it's good times. Yeah, we got some challenges, but it's good times. So stay safe, stay strong. Again, appreciate your support. It's been very encouraging to have you all here and sharing out the stuff through all the shadow bans, all the restrictions, all the pushback to try to stop our message getting out. It just takes one. God bless.